Have you ever felt like the person you love most is a complete stranger? Sarah Martinez thought she knew everything about her husband of 12 years, until she found the room he'd been hiding from her. Sarah stared at the freshly painted wall in their basement, her coffee growing cold in her trembling hands. Something wasn't right. The wall looked newer than the rest, and there was a strange echo when she knocked on it. After 23 years of living in this house, the house she'd inherited from her grandmother, she knew every creak, every corner, every secret, or so she thought. "David's been acting so strange lately," she whispered to herself, running her fingers along the suspicious wall. Her husband of 12 years had been spending hours down here, claiming he was organizing old boxes. But there were no boxes, just this wall that hadn't been here before. The sound of David's car in the driveway made her heart race. She quickly headed upstairs, her mind spinning with questions she was afraid to ask. "Hey, beautiful," David called as he entered the kitchen, his smile as warm as always. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, but Sarah felt herself stiffen. "How was work?" she asked, trying to keep her voice normal. "Same old boring construction site. Nothing interesting ever happens there." He kissed her neck, but she caught something in his tone. Was he lying about something as simple as his day? That night, as David slept beside her, Sarah lay awake staring at the ceiling. They'd been trying for a baby for 3 years. The fertility treatments, the disappointments, the growing distance between them, it had taken its toll. But this felt different. This felt like betrayal. "Maybe I'm losing my mind," she thought. "Maybe the stress is making me paranoid." But she couldn't shake the feeling that her husband was hiding something massive from her. The next morning, David left early for work, kissing her goodbye with the same tenderness he'd shown her for 12 years. "I love you, Sarah. Don't ever forget that." "I love you too," she replied, but the words felt hollow. As soon as his truck disappeared around the corner, Sarah grabbed a hammer from the garage. Her hands shook as she approached the basement wall. With each strike, chunks of drywall crumbled away, revealing what looked like a door frame underneath. "What are you hiding from me, David?" Behind the false wall was a door with a simple handle. Sarah's heart pounded so hard she could hear it echoing in the basement. She turned the handle and stepped inside. The room was small but carefully organized. There was a desk with a computer, filing cabinets, and dozens of framed photographs covering the walls. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she moved closer to examine them. Every single photograph was of a woman with auburn hair and green eyes. A woman who wasn't Sarah. The woman was captured in what seemed like candid moments, laughing at a coffee shop, walking through a park, getting into a car. Sarah's stomach dropped as she realized these weren't just random photos. They were surveillance photos. With trembling fingers, she opened the first filing cabinet. Inside were documents, receipts, and more photos. A birth certificate caught her eye. Emma Rose Collins, born March 15, 1987. The same woman from all the photos. Sarah sank into the desk chair, her legs unable to support her anymore. She powered on the computer, and dozens of email threads filled the screen, all to and from Emma Collins. "My darling David, I can't wait until we can finally be together properly. I know it's hard keeping this from Sarah, but soon we'll have our own family, our own life. The baby is doing well. The doctor says everything looks perfect for our November due date." Sarah's vision blurred as she read email after email. This woman, Emma, was pregnant with David's child. They'd been having an affair for over 2 years, meeting in secret while Sarah underwent fertility treatments, praying for the child she'd never be able to give him. But it got worse, much worse. Another email, dated just 3 days ago. David, I've been thinking about what you said. Are you really sure about the plan? I don't want Sarah to get hurt more than necessary. David's response made Sarah's blood run cold. Emma, we've talked about this. The inheritance from her grandmother's house is worth $800,000. Once she's out of the picture, we can start fresh. The life insurance policy will set us up forever. I just need a little more time to figure out how to make it look accidental. Sarah's hands flew to her mouth, stifling a scream. Her husband wasn't just cheating on her. He was planning to kill her for her inheritance and insurance money. She scrolled through more emails, finding detailed discussions about her daily routines, her habits, her vulnerabilities. David had been studying her like prey, planning the perfect crime while kissing her goodnight and telling her he loved her. The sound of a car door slamming outside sent panic shooting through Sarah's body. David was home early. She quickly shut down the computer and grabbed as many documents as she could carry. She could hear his footsteps upstairs as she carefully replaced the false wall, leaving just enough damage to look like an accident. Sarah, where are you? David's voice echoed through the house. Down here, she called back, her voice surprisingly steady. I was looking for Christmas decorations and accidentally put the hammer through the wall. I'm so sorry. David appeared at the top of the basement stairs, his face a mask of concern. But Sarah could see something else in his eyes now, calculation. Fear. Had he seen through her act? Don't worry about it, baby. I'll fix it this weekend. He came down the stairs and examined the wall, standing just feet away from his secret room. Why don't you go upstairs and relax? I'll clean this up. Sarah nodded and headed upstairs, the stolen documents hidden in her jacket. In the kitchen, she called her sister Lisa. Lisa, I need you to come over right now. Don't ask questions, just come. And Lisa, call the police on your way. Tell them I've discovered something about David that puts my life in danger. As she waited for help to arrive, Sarah watched her husband through the kitchen window. He was in the backyard, packing and talking frantically on his phone. Probably to Emma, probably changing their timeline. 12 years, she thought. 12 years of marriage, and I never knew the man sleeping beside me. 20 minutes later, police cars filled her driveway. David's face went white as officers surrounded him in the backyard. Sarah handed over all the evidence she'd found, the photos, the emails, the detailed plans for her murder. Detective Morrison read through the documents with a grim expression. Mrs. Martinez, you're lucky you found this when you did. Based on these emails, it looks like they were planning to act within the next few weeks. Sarah nodded numbly as she watched David being led away in handcuffs. He looked back at her once, and for just a moment, she saw a flicker of the man she'd fallen in love with all those years ago. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by cold calculation. Ma'am, Detective Morrison's voice brought her back to the present. We'll need you to come to the station to give a full statement, and we'll be arresting Emma Collins within the hour. As Sarah sat in the police station later that evening, giving her statement, she couldn't help but think about all the signs she'd missed. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way David had become so interested in their finances lately, the subtle pushing for her to increase her life insurance. How do you rebuild your life when everything you thought you knew was a lie? 6 months later, Sarah stood in the same basement, but everything was different. The secret room had been sealed permanently. David was serving 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. Emma had received 15 years as an accessory. Sarah ran her hand along the smooth wall where David's shrine to his other life had been hidden. She'd kept the house, her grandmother's house, her sanctuary, but she was transforming it into something new, something that belonged only to her. Her phone buzzed with a text from her therapist. "Remember, Sarah, surviving betrayal this deep doesn't make you naive for trusting. It makes you human, and it makes you stronger than you know." Sarah smiled for the first time in months. She was finally ready to start living again, but this time she'd trust her instincts. This time she'd listen to the voice that had tried to warn her something was wrong. Sometimes the person you love most can be a stranger, but sometimes discovering that truth in time can save your life.